Hey, how's it going? I'd like to talk about request for quote and what that is. A request for quote it's a formal document issued by the company or organization to solicit price quotation from suppliers or vendors for specific goods or services. RFQs are commonly used in procurement process to gather competitive bids from potential suppliers, enabling the buyers to make informed purchasing decisions based on factors such as cost, quality, and or delivery terms. Typically, RFQs include the following components. Introduction. This section provides a brief overview of the company's issuing RFQs and the purpose of the request. Scope of work. This section outlines the detailed description of the goods or services being requested, including specifications, quantities, and or other relevant information. Delivery schedule. The RFQs should specify the required delivery dates and timelines for the required goods or services. Technical specifications, if applicable. This section outlines specific technical requirements that the supplier must meet. Pricing information. The supplier are expected to provide pricing details for the goods or services outlined in RFQs. This can include unit price, total cost, taxes, and or any additional charges. Terms and conditions. This section outlines the terms under which the supplier would provide the goods or services, including payment terms, warranties, and any other relevant terms like liability insurance or so. Submission and instruction. The RFQ should provide clear instructions on how suppliers should submit their quotations, including deadlines and contact information, or finish with contact information. Elevation criteria. The buyer might specify how they will evaluate the received quotes, which could include factors such as price, quality, past performance, and other relevant criteria, or overall experience, how long the company been in the business, and if they would be able to deliver it within the scope of time required. Just a few areas. Contact information. The point of contact for any quotation or clarifications regarding the RFQ should be provided. RFQs are an essential part of procurement process for organizations that are looking to source goods or services from external suppliers. They can help ensure transparency, fairness, and competitiveness in bidding process, allowing the buyer to select the most suitable supplier based on their needs and priorities. I'm currently looking at UK's government's website, and I'm looking at how to bid for government contracts as small to medium-sized enterprises effectively. I'm not necessarily agree with all the statements, but this is government's website, and this is what are set requirements for anyone who is interested in perhaps writing down RFQs for particular product or services that government would be interested in buying. But there's a lot of people, a lot of different organizations, and those particular organizations would understand everything differently. But overall process should be uniformly the same. It should be, but it not necessarily is the same. But overall government's website, and there's a set standards how they would like to receive all RFQs in particular way. You can find it on government's website, www.gov.uk guidelines. That's where I'm taking this information from. For anyone who is interested, perhaps doing their own research. What do you plan before making a bid or sending your RFQs? Make a bid or the decision not to bid, I guess, is the project manager. You need to understand what would be your role within the project. Design or approve the solution for product or services, how you're going to design that, and how you're going to solve a particular problem that government organizations would have. Sign off the bid, final bid. So if there would be perhaps any, some of the contracts can be up to perhaps 50 pages long or even longer than that, and it might require a lot of thinking before submitting for a bid. And it just overall summarizes that you should sign off your final final offer and double check everything before submitting your final offer. Overall, writing a bid and some of the statistics, for example, actual performance against the target for similar contracts. What else, who were within competition, what kind of offers they made. The advantages is that they are short, sharp, effective, and objective. So that's what they would be looking for. Where later I'll read some information that might be conflicting to that, but that's what they're looking for. The disadvantages is that the range of availability data can often be limited. Overall testimonials, for example, a positive quotation attributes to a similar customer. The advantages is that they build trust, confidence, and endorsement. The disadvantages is that they can be potentially lengthy and unspecific. That's overall testimonials and how they feel about testimonials. A case study, for example, a synopsis of how you support a specific service user. The advantages that they bring an element of storytelling. Everyone's asking for that storytelling. I find very bizarre so some of the times. I'd rather stick to the point if I can instead of using storytelling. But they a lot of people like to read some stories, I guess, especially people who are working for government institutions. They very well tell them stories, I guess. The disadvantages are that the only evidence is a single specific instance. It can be lengthy, using up character limits. Yeah, a list, for example, a list of prior similar clients or contracts held. I believe it's overall experience, but yeah, the advantages is that they can show a brief of experience. The disadvantages is that they are harder to show underlying details and relevance. They would ask for, sometimes they ask for CVs, for example, details of proposed skills and expertise or proposed team. The advantage is that they show clear staff competence. Disadvantage is that they can be lengthy and skim over greater details. For a lot of IT projects, I feel it very strange that they would do research or they would ask me specifically for IT projects where my team is located, right. So as a K company, I personally find it bizarre. They will ask for CVs of all team and where that team is located. In particular for IT, that's strange, but overall, guide your evaluator. Your role is to direct the elevator to connect with your response to make it easy for them to score. To do this, you can keep sentences and paragraphs short, ensure a logical flow and transition from one sentence to the next, and influence a narrative. Tell a story. Don't assume prior knowledge. Ensure that the key concepts are explained. Use a sentence to grab the reader's attention and clinch clinchers, which conclude the point and leave the reader satisfied. Use specific headings and bullets to give a evaluator while not exceeding the characteristics. Minimize jargon and acronyms. That's definitely, yeah, it's just make it clear for everyone to understand. I believe the team of the board who are making decision on a particular bid, that team should be at least qualified or have some understanding within particular niche for them to be able to make a decision. So if I would be required to use any particular language with that particular project, I would assume that team understands something instead of that team would be some random people from the street. That's my personal understanding, because so many bids would require at least 4 8 hours of my time to submit that bid. If the team on the other side reading that bid don't really understand what I'm talking about, and they are there to make the decision, that's I guess the argument there. Overall, there's a lot of information on the government's website. I won't be able to go through all of the information for everyone who is interested. You do your own research, but yeah, I guess that's one of those areas for anyone who's interested, or perhaps would like to find out more about how to start and run your own business. I have published a book on this subject. Within the book, I'm sharing a lot of information about where to begin, where to go, how to start, how to think about business, or would like to perhaps, before entering into business world, would be interested perhaps doing a little bit of research, or what would be required, what would be a mindset going into that particular area. You can find this book on my company's website or major retailers. Feel free to reach out to me if you would like to receive one of the signed copies. For first 100 people, I'm offering a signed copy of this book. If that helps to support the channel, thanks. Overall, today's topic, RFQs and how to submit request for quote, where a lot of public sector organizations or general public would require different companies to complete particular work. RFQs might be very straightforward, but either way, there would be a minimum requirement perhaps for anyone who looking to do small jobs within the household. Perhaps that would be you as a person managing your own perhaps budget. You might require, perhaps you or reach out to 3 different companies and request RFQs from those companies. There are set standards, systems, procedures within government. They would require a particular number of RFQs before they would be able to make a decision what company to hire, and they would definitely be looking for high standards. Perhaps they would prefer paying less if they can for very high standards. Perhaps they would be looking for company who has a lot of experience within the industry. But you as a business, shouldn't be discouraged, I guess. That's where I'm coming from. Build that track record and start perhaps with smaller projects and work your way up, or perhaps build your team, experience, knowledge within particular sectors, and build those things up, I guess, even if it might be some days it might be a struggle. Just power through that, and yeah, sticking to the point. Yeah, overall managing finance, and if that finance, since we're on topic of finance, is Sunday, if you were be giving a budget, within the budget, if you would have to hire any particular organization to do a particular job, there might be within contract of that finance, there might be requirement to receive at least minimum of 3 RFQs to have access or to go green light any particular project. Once you receive only after you receive at least 3 RFQs, only then you can have access to that finance to solve that particular problem. Yeah, so overall lengthy process, or at least it can be. Overall using of finance, it could be strict to perhaps 3 months. Just yeah. So overall it can be a challenging process, but yeah, it's one of those things. Thanks for watching, and see you next one.